Have you started an orchard or a food forest and you have devastating losses? You got things you can't explain. You got all kinds of losses and you're thinking, good night, what am I gonna do? That peach over there ain't looking great. Over here, we got a cherry and it's dead right in the middle of this food forest. But we got a lot of good things going. And I'm gonna show you today how we deal with it. Okay, I know it seems like we always talk about the things that are thriving, the things we're putting in, but I would be absolutely remiss if I didn't point out the areas where we've made mistakes or things just ain't making it. I mean, take this peach, for example. Down here in this food forest, I'll be honest with you, I don't even know what cultivar it is. And frankly, down here, for the most part, I don't even care. Our cherries have struggled down here. Here's one. And then over here, we got another cherry that we've tried, and they're different cultivars altogether. This one didn't make it. As we go down the hill here, we got other things all the way to we got nitrogen fixers down here that didn't make it. Now, do I know the reasons why? In some cases, yes. Number one, as you can tell by some of the weeds around here, part of our problem was us, in that I didn't look after it. I didn't put it down enough mulch rings like I did around this nitrogen fixing tree right here. Over here, we've had exactly the same problems. So when you don't look after it, you're gonna have problems. Even if you do everything right, you still may have problems. But 9 times out of 10, we find out that when we improve the soil, because I'm telling y'all, the only thing that grew up around this place was Chinese silvergrass, which I'll show you some here in a minute. All that silvergrass was what was occupying this space. If we made it more fungal, it doesn't want to come back. In fact, this is the Lone Ranger over in this area. And of course, I'm gonna chop it, cover it up, make it more fungal, and it's not gonna be sticking around long. But check this out, y'all. I'm gonna do 2 things in this video today. I'm gonna show you what we put in its place and why, and we're also gonna show you another little method on that tactical food forest that I've been talking about. All right, before we get into it, it's first important to identify why we got problems in the first place, because we only have problems in the places where the soil has been neglected. Come over here and take a look. You'll see what I mean. If I can just take my shovel and I'm barely getting in a couple of inches, that's a problem. So it's our neglect in this area. You know, things were off and running. It was blowing up. It was gangbusters. It was doing fantastic. Then we got complacent. Or better still, it's not complacency. In our case, we just got busy, and it happens to the best of us. So with this peach over here, okay, it ain't dead yet. You know, I might be able to rehabilitate it just like I did some of the others, just by doing a couple of things. Number one, putting down some ballin' mulch down over here, and then basically covering it up with some cardboard, which I got right here, and then starting all over again. And then maybe next season it's off and going. Another thing, right through this area, like I said, it's tough. It's tough. But if you look at all the areas where we put down tons and tons of mulch, no problems at all. And that's usually up and down in our orchards. So the problem is the solution. I'm gonna take all that mulch that I have, you can see some of it right here in buckets, and this is gonna be one of the projects that we get done probably through the winter. We are going to absolutely positively make it to where this is back to as productive as it once was. Because yes, it's a food forest, but by no means is it off and running all on its own. So let's go over to our solution. So that peach, we know what we're gonna do in that case, but over here on this cherry, it ain't doing so great. Okay, and them cherries typically in this area haven't done great, even though we got wild cherries right there on the edges. How about that? All right, so it's maybe telling me that maybe I don't want to put a cherry back in here. But I'll tell you what is doing great, this blueberry, and all the other blueberries that are doing great around here. But if you look at them, they were looked after. We got them off and running. So I won't beat that horse anymore. So instead of this cherry being here, if I can just yank this sucker right out of the ground, it ain't doing so good. And as you can see, it's not wonderful. So this thing, pretty much dead. So we're gonna get it out of there. Now, the adjustments that I'm making out in this food forest are gonna be a little bit different. Now, Michelle has really put, and always has, she's always been the focus on the medicine we grow out here. And we got it everywhere, thanks to her. I'm usually thinking about the things I can fill my belly with, okay? But as you're with somebody more and more times, you find out you take on some of their sensibilities. And if you're considerate, you take on some of theirs as well, especially the most positive parts. So that brings me to what I'm going to have today. In each pot, instead of doing the typical tree that I would normally have out here, I got Aonia berries. Okay, why these guys? Number one, first of all, they're very native to where we are. This one's a Nero. This one, I want to call it another Roman emperor, but it's not. It's a Viking. I wish they'd have just left it all the same genre. But anyway, Nero and Viking. They're both indigenous to this place. They produce a berry, which we got one right here. Look at that. Purple, dark purple, high in anthocyanins. Be honest with you, I don't even know what that is. I just know that it's really, really awesome for you. And the berries, although a little bit tart, they're not unreasonable. People do all kinds of great, wonderful things. But this is more of the superfoods, in addition to the blueberries that are superfoods, that I can have in this area. Plus, it's something totally different. I know cherries ain't working out here, so why go back with a cherry? So, I'm going to put one right here. And by the way, let me just say this. Somebody's probably saying, well, why are you planting in the middle of summer? Well, this is when my problem exists. And plus, this is when I was able to find these on the discount rack. I will not pass up a good deal, even if it means putting it in summer, because I do have, like that pear over there in the distance. I found that one half dead on the discount rack and put it in along with one up the hill. Had to stake it for about 6 months and then look at it now. It's off and thriving. So it can be done, but it just requires more attention. And it's not my ideal time to do it. But anyway, so we got that cherry out of there. And for those that are new, I'm going to show you how I go about doing this. And I'm probably going to show you another couple of other tricks you haven't seen before. Right here, we got the mulch ring that is ready. It's already ready to rock and roll. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to get down on my hands and knees, get rid of some of this plastic that came up out of here. And all I'm going to do is just pull that out until I hit soil. I'm just get it way out of the way over here. Look at that, got worms. Okay, not the best kind of worm, but you know, worm nonetheless. We're going to get some of this stuff out of here. Okay, some of this stuff I actually do want, but this comfrey over here, not going to be a problem. This blueberry, and you know, the blueberry's in very close proximity here, but this is a food forest. I'm less worried about the spacing, and ultimately, the plants themselves will let me know what they prefer and what they do not prefer. So I'm gonna get all this out of the way, okay? So down here where I had that, if you'll notice, over there, that soil was as hard as woodpecker lips. Down here, look, I can put my hand, shoot, I'm down to my wrist and I didn't need anything. So you see the difference? Tons of mulch over here, very little, if any, over there. That was bare soil. It's being compacted by the rain. It's being compacted by the sun. All the awful things that I don't want are happening over there. So now I'm in the footprint of where I'm going to put, oh, look at all these worms. Yeah, boy, that's a good sign. So you guys are going to find a new home. When you come across worms, y'all, cover them up because it only takes a minute or so before them to die in the direct sun. And those are your allies. All right, so now that I got that done, we'll move on to the next part. Got that all squared away, got me some cardboard. This is a little trick I learned from one of my heroes in this space, Stefan Subkowiak. Look, y'all, if you're not subscribed to his channel, I don't know what you're waiting for. Incredible online courses that will absolutely floor you. And just an all-around wonderful, fantastic person. Very, very generous with his time, his knowledge. Where a lot of people like to covet certain information, man, he's like an open book. And this is what I've learned from him. Instead of taking, you may be in a grassy scenario, instead of taking all that soil, throwing it in your grass and you get lost, take the cardboard and put your soil on there. So you're not losing it anywhere. It's also less unsightly. All right, we got our whole, good night, man. Look at all these worms down there. We're doing some good things, y'all. Big fat ones. All right, you boys get to stay. I'll get y'all out of the way. And cover you up. Okay, so got my first Aonia over here. I could go deeper, but it won't even make a difference here in a little bit. A little bit root bound in this pot. And we're just going to situate a few things. All right, got this one ready to rock and roll, and right about here is where it's going to sit. Now, I need a little bit more in that hole. We're going to have it sit a little bit higher. So right about there is what I want. And then here's the beauty of this. Even if I'm working by myself, I can take that cardboard, lift up one side, lift up the other, and then just like this, without losing any of my soil, right there in the hole. Once again, big hat tip to my man, Stefan Sokoviak, for teaching me that little trick. Now, let's get it somewhat, and look at this, we got more berries on this thing. So we'll just leave that for now. And then like I've showed you before, everything's back in that hole. I mean, how cool is that? Now we got our cardboard, and I'm gonna show you a little trick I came up with. So, and it works this way, it works really good if you're in a sloped environment. I'm gonna cut a hole down the middle of it, and then just cut something of a Y here. And then just kind of, so as you can see, I can kind of poke that through, stick it around. And just like so, this thing is ready to rock and roll. So now, even if you're in a sloped environment, when I do it this way, if the slope's coming this way, I would put this that way. It's a somewhat more gentle slope down here. Man, sorry about all the, I know I'm sweating like Joe Biden at a debate, but this is what time it is, y'all. So anyway, this sucker's off and going. It's kind of going into that blueberry a little bit. Not the end of the world. Okay, I got some really rough wood chips over here, okay? That's what came off of here. But in this bucket, I got a combination of wood chips, the very, very aged wood chips that I got out of the woods, okay? If you look at it, there's a lot of fungal hypha that I can literally see with my two eyes. So this is really good stuff. In fact, I could very well put this underneath. It would probably be a better advantage if I put it underneath, but I'm gonna stick this stuff, look at that. Some of this stuff has even become compost. So there's one, there's another. Here's another. And we're gonna go overboard. If you look at that, good night, man. That stuff it's been sitting so long. Highly, highly fungal. This is why a lot of times I like to get this stuff out of the woods, because nature's already done 80% of it for me. All right, I'm gonna pull that away at the base a little bit. And now that I got this combination of wood chips that I've sourced out of the woods, I'm gonna take these old ones and I'm gonna cover them up, because I don't want my fungus that's available in here, I don't want it seeing the light of day if I can help it. So I'm just gonna do this. And then now the only thing to do, and we don't need to show this on camera, but we're gonna water this in thoroughly, especially here in the mountains. I mean, it's beautiful because we don't have the kind of humidity that you're gonna have in the lower country, but if you don't have your soil squared away, guess where that water that you put on here is gonna go? Right back up where it came from. So we got one in, we're gonna put another one down there. You don't need to see that, but we're gonna move on to the next part. Okay. Now, for all of you folks out there that are looking for tactical things in your food forest, and I've talked about that extensively, we got our next contender right here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of these. They're all black mulberry bushes. There's a difference. Now, I love mulberry trees, but these are the bushes. And the cool thing about them is they're going to get 10 feet wide, 10 feet tall. And also considering they're mulberries, a lot of superfood in that, you think? So that's also good to have. Let me tell you what else is really good. Is here on the edge of my property, you can see all that Chinese silvergrass that I'm not even messing with. It's on the other side of my fence. It used to be here, but we beat it back. But because this area is so fungal, well, it doesn't want to be here. But where it is right now, it can get up to 8 feet or more. Now, here's the issue I have. Because it's on my edges, I always want to situate as best I can things like this nitrogen fixer right here, black locust. Things, you know, things that might currently be there, you want to leave there. But in order to break up that space on the edges, because these are berries, people are not necessarily going to see these. Do you think maybe a good spot for these, considering where the sun tracks and the location is right here on the edges. So I'm going to plant one here. One here. It doesn't even have to be this far away. You know what? My mulch line starts about right here. It's about 6 to 7 feet off the edge of that fence. I could plant them exactly right here. Where's the problem in that? Cool thing is, it's going to be tall enough to break up the outline of the things that I do want to protect, which are some of these fruit trees. And plus, like I said, it's a berry. It's harder to see. When you put things like apples on the edges, anybody and a great grandmother driving up and down that road can see it. So you might want to think about those things. So maybe consider nitrogen fixers, maybe your overstory on the edges, okay? Things that people can't immediately see through. Maybe you have overstories on the very edges, and then on the inside, you got things like these bushes, these shrubs that can basically take up that space. It looks like everything else out there. And from a tactical standpoint, it's doing a lot of the good work. You know what? I could even kick this up a little bit more. I could even put some seriously nasty, thorny blackberries that are going to grow in bad soil. The soil's good here, or at least it's marginal, but over there it's bad. Do you think maybe I want to put a bunch of thorny blackberries over there? Might not be a bad idea. So that's exactly what I got planned for these guys, is I'm going to stick them right here on the edges. Not only are they going to produce fruit, they're also going to be really, really awesome in breaking up the outline. Let me tell you one other thing that Michelle reminded me of. These are also going to be really, whether it's regular mulberry or either these guys, they will be really, really awesome tree hay for your ruminants out there. So that's something you can consider. So you could be eating the berries, they could be eating the tree hay. Soil's eating, obviously, all the exudates this guy's putting out. I mean, you don't lose. So without all the talking, because it is hot out here, I'm going to go ahead and get these guys in the ground. Alrighty, so we're going to show you one of those tricks we always do. I just planted this one right here, and before I put the cardboard down, look what I have in close proximity to me. Comfrey. Once again, dynamic accumulator. This, ladies and gentlemen, is our fertilizer. It's going to get slimy underneath that cardboard, and then honestly, it's going to draw, to a certain extent. Worms love it. If we put this we could put it on top, we could put it on the bottom, but when I'm initially planting, the moisture in those leaves, like I said, are going to become slimy, and it's going to be an attractant. It's bioaccumulating all that stuff down in the leaves, and there it is. So now I'll just go ahead and make me a ring, a mulch ring around that, and if I wanted, I could even put it on top as well. But that will be sufficient. Now I'm just going to take my mulch, cover it up. So this is our last one, and it's situated exactly where we want it to be. This hugel mound over here, covered with a lot of weeds, but we're going to be doing some cool things with that in the future. Like I said, some of this stuff has been neglected, but I'd be remiss to tell you some of the other things we do. See these little yellow tags? Because this is summer, and because we do live in a temperate rainforest, let me just say that right off. But right now we're in that dry part of the season. Well, we don't want this stuff to die. So this sticks out like a sore thumb. If you're going to put tags out, make sure you get tags that are not a color you typically see in nature. So you want something like this that's going to stick out like a sore thumb. In addition to that, see these ear tags that we got right here? Man, this is one awesome nifty trick that we got from Flomaton Famous. Excellent YouTube channel, excellent instructors. So anyway, we'll just basically cut that off. I didn't bring the wire down here with me, but instead of using the store-bought tags that are just going to fade in no time, a while back I asked them, how on earth do you keep your trees marked forever and a day? Well, these are meant to last a long, long time. So these are ear tags with some really, the ink burns its way into it. So all you do is just basically put a piece of stainless wire through there, copper, whatever you choose, and then stick it around whatever it is you want to mark. I didn't bring that down here, so I'm just going to lay it like that for now. And I ran out of mulch, so I'm going to have to get more of that too. Look, y'all. Bottom line is, you can see my edge here, and you can see some of the things we got going on. Whether it could be things like currants, okay, like you see right here, that are going to break up that outline. It could be nitrogen fixing shrubs, trees, whatever you pick. they're all going to be useful in some way or another on your homestead. So think about those things from a tactical standpoint, and then also think about those things that when you replace something, it's not the end of the world, y'all. It happens to everybody, and I mean everybody. So consider what I've said here, absorb what's useful. Remember, we got coming up real soon. In fact, this weekend coming up, we got East Tennessee Homestead Alliance Festival. I'm going to be there. The Pimp Daddy of Polyface is going to be there, so you want to be there for that. We got a festival coming up as well. We got the links for all that stuff down below. Look, I know this video is long in the tooth, so I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time talking about it. Just to remind you that if you need some of the comfrey we talked about, if you need some of the bone sauce we got on some of these trees, go check out our website. Till next time, this is Billy, sweating his brains out right here at Perma Pastures Farm, where permaculture is my passion. We'll see y'all next time.